Hello everyone, I'm Damini, your host for today, and today I have that guest with me, like who's very new into this, because till now I have interviewed the lawyers who are into corporate sector, the ones who are into litigation, but today I have that guest with me who's into research, who's into academics. So welcome, Miss Medha. Like I actually would like to tell you people that Miss Medha is a researcher at Humboldt University of Berlin. So thank you so much, ma'am, for coming to my talk show and actually accepting my
Thank
invitation on a
you.
very short notice. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Damini.
ma'am. So without taking your much time, would you mind sharing your law school journey with us?
Okay, so I had never really decided to do law. I was always this very nerdy, studious kid in school, and I joined engineering coaching in 11th, like so many people do. And I used to go to these IIT coaching classes. I had PCM and eco, that typical combination. And then in 12th, I was not so sure whether I wanted to do engineering, but I couldn't really decide. I didn't have the guts to tell anyone that I wanted to do law because it was like a humanities subject. And then at the end of my 12th, I got dengue and I was extremely sick. And then I had to completely stop preparing for engineering. I couldn't even concentrate on my boards. So I had around 1.5 months. And then I suddenly decided, okay, I want to study law. It was just an idea that came off the top of my head. And that time we didn't have a CLAT. So I just separately gave the exams of NLS, Nalsar, Jodhpur, and Bhopal. That's it. And I was like keeping my fingers crossed that I'll get in somehow. And I got into NLIU Bhopal and Jodhpur, and then I chose Bhopal. And it was an interesting journey because I would say I wasn't really prepared for what was to come because I think 5 years is a very long time, and we also had a trimester system. So I think Madhav Menon, who had basically sort of decided the curriculum for Bangalore and how the trimesters would be. So instead of a semester, we also copied his method that he had set up for Bangalore, and we had a trimester system. So every 3 months we had midterms, finals, 4 paper submissions. And I think if there was one word I would describe law school as, it was difficult, because I felt that there was always this pressure to perform, and there was so much competition. You were always looking at other people and thinking, okay, this person is spending 20 hours in the library. Why am I spending only 2 hours in the library or 3 hours? And, the panic for every project. And I mean, I think it had its fun sides, but being in a tiny place for 5 years, you're just in a bubble. So I think it was difficult. And I think a lot of us could have talked to each other more honestly, but there was always this competition, between any two groups of people or two people. And sometimes I know that, I don't have regrets, but I wish sometimes I could go back to law school and just talk to many more people, talk to them differently, understand them differently. And I think a lot of the times we had people like a support system around us, but we were so busy grinding, and going to the books and sort of like, oh yeah, I'm here for the hustle, I'm here for the grind. And, you just don't take time to actually breathe. And it's very easy to say you should do that, but the truth is, at the end of it, everyone wants to get a job or apply for an LLM. So you're just busy cramming. So I would say the college experience was difficult, but yeah, I think I can't say it's good or bad because it went by too fast, I think.
But you know what?
Working
Like
so
you
hard.
said that you chose NLIU Bhopal and okay,
Yeah,
you chose Bhopal, right? But when we say that you are into a good college, a reputed NLU of India, why did you go
yeah.
for corporate and you actually chose to be into research, academics? So what's the reason
Mhm.
behind that?
I think so. The thing is, it's interesting. I actually used to score very well in my corporate law exams, even though I didn't enjoy it at all. I used to really like securities law for some reason and property law, and nothing against those things. But I think the problem was I never really felt very passionate about those things, and I just didn't feel very motivated. I remember doing a couple of internships with some firms or with sort of the more corporate side of things. And I somehow didn't feel the same kind of motivation I did. And I think that has an effect on how you perform, because no matter how much you sort of don't think that's true, or maybe if you don't realize it, I think if you're not really interested in something long term, it's very difficult to keep sort of going at it, and at times I really felt very stupid, because I used to think, okay, there's obviously a lot of money in corporate, but I also think, to be honest, I just did not have the interest in it to sustain that, and of course we have to recognize that I am extremely privileged that I can make that choice. Sometimes people don't have that choice. They, for money reasons or for whatever reasons, they have to sort of go in that direction. Um, and I think I always liked researching. Even when we used to do moot courts, I liked the researching part of it. So even when we did a tax law moot court, I was a speaker, but I liked reading and researching. And I've always been a very, very studious, nerdy kid.
But
I think I
like
like learning,
you
and I
said
like
that you were
answering.
into research, right? From
Yeah,
the very
yeah,
beginning, you loved
yeah,
researching. But you know
yeah.
what? Like, okay, you were into research and all that. You scored well in corporate law, right? But
Mhm.
what sort of internships you did? Like
So
in
I did quite,
corporate litigation or just
yeah.
research internships?
So I actually did mixed ones. I did some law firm internships. I also did an internship at the Competition Commission of India. So where we did a lot of research on regulatory work, and that was very interesting one. I did an internship with the TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, as well, which also did regulatory work, and there was some administrative and constitutional law as well. And then I did an internship with the United Nations development program once, but that was sort of in my first year, and it was just a lot of reading reports and sort of making summaries. So I was a junior, completely new there. Um, but I think I would say my internships were extremely mixed. And then once I got this opportunity to intern, or sort of intern in the chambers of a judge in the Delhi High Court. So he did a lot of work on sports law. So they were extremely mixed, and sometimes I felt that that was not a very intelligent thing to do, because when I came out of law school, I realized, oh my god, I didn't even plan what kind of work I want to do. But I think I also had the privilege of doing these internships and getting these internships because it helped me figure out what I don't like. So then I had also realized that, okay, corporate law is definitely not for me. Also, I just couldn't handle the pressure, because when you're in a law firm, you're mostly working under extreme pressure conditions. And I think I realized quite early that that was not something for me at all,
Okay,
especially because my
so
mind switches off after 8:30 p.m., and that's not a very good thing in the
yeah, no
corporate law
offenses to
world.
the ones who are actually working at corporate. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but yeah, I just think for me, like, weirdly, it was a very strange process of elimination, because I realized, okay, I don't like this, so okay, maybe I like this, and then I said, okay, I like to research, I like doing policy oriented work, stuff like that. So
Okay. So,
yeah.
like, you said that you did internships. That was a mixture
Hmm.
of like every field of law, right?
Hmm.
But like, can you just tell us something about the present situation of yours? Like, which university you are
Hmm.
working in, and how
Hmm.
did you get a chance to get into that
Hmm.
university?
So I was actually, so I wanted to do a PhD, but I wasn't entirely sure how I would go about it. And then, so I had, after I returned from doing my master's in the UK, I had worked in a chamber of a senior advocate for some time doing litigation. And then I moved on to this think tank. It's quite well known, called the Vidhi Center for Legal Policy. And there I was working in the team for judicial reforms, and we were doing this really cool project on judicial performance evaluation. And I was always interested in the idea of judicial appointments, independence, accountability. And so eventually I decided, okay, this can also be a good topic for a PhD study, I mean, with some element of comparative law. So actually, for a long time, I debated where to apply, what to do. And of course, my partner is my then partner, he's now my husband. um he is German, so we were always trying to think, okay, where do we want to settle down together? So um i i I actually wrote to a lot of people in the UK. But somehow I think it was also some luck. I got a really good response from a professor in Germany who works a lot on India. He's a German professor, but he does a lot of work on the comparative angle between EU and India in the area of constitutional and public law. So immediately he said, oh, I also work on public accountability. So he really liked that. Okay, I'm looking into the area of judicial accountability. And then I just sort of applied, and it was a bit difficult that time because unlike the UK, US, and a lot of other countries, Germany doesn't have very structured PhD programs. So you just come here and then you have a professor, but he's not usually the one giving you funding. The university is not even the one giving you funding. So you have to look for external sources of funding. So I had actually moved here, and when I was here, then I managed for a while on my own, but then I had to, of course, look for a scholarship. So I applied, and there's an organization called the DAAD. So they offer scholarships for international students in Germany. So luckily, I got a scholarship with them. Um, and then, yeah, then I started doing my PhD, and I'm like in my final stages of writing now. So that's how I came about in Germany. So, yeah.
Okay, so that was a more formal part of the conversation, but let's move to the informal part. So now we're going to play some rapid fire. I'll ask you
Okay.
some questions and quickly you have to answer those.
Yeah.
Okay. So just tell
Yeah.
me, like in your college, was there any professor who used to cut your attendance even if you don't talk? Just don't pinpoint that professor, but just tell me if there was any.
Yes, definitely.
This
Definitely.
happens with me as well. What happens is, even if I
Definitely.
don't talk, even if
Yeah.
I didn't use my cell phone, but
Oh,
still, I don't
yes,
know for
definitely.
what
They
reason he
just,
didn't
yeah.
give me the attendance.
Yeah. There are just some cranky people who just want to do this.
Exactly my point.
That is how it is.
Exactly. But like, was there any like who you considered as your best mentor?
Yes, actually, I would be happy to name him. There was a professor we had, Professor Gayur Alam. He used to teach us intellectual property law, and I find that from all the professors I had, he felt like a person who was a very good teacher, and b, he was genuinely interested in sort of making us think critically. So even in the beginning, we had this course which was called Common Law Method. It was essentially a form of studying legal philosophy. And I remember that he would always, and we were very young that time, we never paid attention to him. We thought, okay, it's just a professor who's like forcing us to study. But for him, I think he was genuinely out on this mission to make us think a bit more critically. And I think if it wasn't for him, I would have not learned to think critically at all. And I think that's important because no matter what you do with your law degree, you should be able to reflect and think beyond what is just told to you. So yeah, that's him. I would say he was
Okay.
like
So
quite good
like
in that sense.
the best internship of yours.
I think the one in the Competition Commission of India, it
Okay.
was not, yeah, it was on competition law, which is not exactly my area currently, but it made me think a lot about regulatory and administrative law and
Okay.
sort of then public law. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the best experience of yours till now?
The best, the best experience of an internship or in general?
It can be anything.
Um, I think I would say working in Vidhi in Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah, I made a lot of good friends there, and it was a very interesting place to work in, and you met
Okay.
lots of different kinds of people. So
But the worst punishment you ever got, like you still remember it, and you
the
don't want
worst
to remember
punishment,
it.
oh yeah, but no, no, I actually got into trouble with a professor who failed me on a paper even though I had all the answers correctly, and that has
Oh
never
God,
happened. Like,
the time you get to know that you didn't score well. Oh
yeah,
God.
that is,
How
yeah,
did
it
you
was,
feel
but then
like I would
oh,
have
it was
got that heart
horrible.
attack?
It was horrible, but then I just gave the paper again and I got over it. I thought like it's
But the
5 years.
students like me who have a scholarship, if we don't
Yeah.
score well,
Oh,
then my
it's, yeah,
scholarship is
yeah.
all gone. Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah. No, no, that would be very bad. But that was, of course, an exceptional bad
Yeah,
situation.
exactly.
Yeah, it
You
was
should
not,
taste
yeah.
everything in your life, right?
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
like, I think I'm done with the rapid fire. I don't have much
Okay.
questions now. So, let's move to the more formal part of the conversation now. So, like,
Yeah.
whenever I interview someone, maybe like lawyer is from corporate or litigation or something like that.
Mhm.
So, would you mind sharing something with the audience, especially the law students who can, if they're planning to do LLM in foreign, or
Mhm.
if they are trying to go for a PhD or something like that?
Mhm.
Would
Mhm.
you mind motivating them
No,
something about the
of
same?
course
Because what
not.
happens is, COVID came with all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
came
yeah,
with
of
so many
course.
tragedies and traumas for some, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So what happens is,
exactly.
due to the financial problem and something like that, they're not
Mhm.
able to do something, right? So any sort
Hmm.
of motivation for them.
I mean, I would say the thing is, like, of course, I think the first important thing is to be safe if possible wherever you are. But I mean, I think before anything, I would also tell people it's been the worst 2 years. I mean, especially in places where even in Germany, like, we, of course, it was not as bad as India, but we had pretty bad counts. And then for 1 year, we were in a lockdown. We had no opening, nothing. We were just in a hard lockdown. And the first thing I would tell people is go easy on yourself if it's possible, because it's such an exceptional situation, and we all feel so pressured to perform. We say, oh, during the pandemic I learned a new language, I started lifting 10 kilo weights, and that's wonderful, but that's not the way everyone copes, and I don't know how supportive universities are being, but I hope, and I have seen some examples where universities have been providing counseling for students, or I mean, people need to acknowledge that this has been an exceptional past 1.5 year. It's nothing ordinary. So you don't have to hustle, you don't have to, do everything and perform. But I think if you want to apply abroad, it's a good time to start doing it if you finished your law degree, because I think now things are slowly opening up. I mean, most of us privileged lot are either vaccinated, or we can, and as long as you can afford to, it's a good time maybe to start thinking if you want to apply abroad. And in that sense, I think the first thing you should do is understand your motivation for doing an LLM and start writing an SOP, because you can never start early enough. I think the first thing you should do is to have a rough idea, even if it's just points on a Word document, to understand exactly what you want to study and why you want to study it. I think that gives you a lot of clarity in also selecting the colleges you want to go to, but also it gives you a head start, because applications can be a very stressful process, even though it's mostly online. Drafting a statement of purpose, getting recommendation letters, these are all things that are very time consuming. And especially if you're doing a job after you pass out of college, because some people don't apply directly, they usually start doing a job and then they get 1 year of work experience. um it becomes very difficult to do everything at once. I did that and I would not recommend it, because I had like constant headaches and backaches. And I feel like, yeah, if you want to apply abroad, I think now is a good time. I think foreign universities in general are also opening up. Unfortunately, in Germany, the university is still closed, but we have online classes. So a lot of places are opening up with online classes. um, I think sometimes it's a difficult call to take, because a lot of people applied last year and they're still like at their homes, because the university just had online classes, so they decided to just stay home. So I think that's a bit of a tough decision. Then you have to know whether you want to invest in that. But it's important to also look for funding opportunities, because that's always a very, very good thing. um, and another important thing I also remind people is, don't just look for funding from the university, because there are lots of external organizations, like scholarships like the Chevening Scholarship, or this organization that I'm with, the DAAD. They all provide scholarships which you may not discover through the university, but just a simple Google search, and this is something I keep telling people who are applying: just research as much as you can. Don't have your eyes fixed on one thing and say it's this or nothing else. I think that's very dangerous, because it's good to have a goal, like a rough idea that, okay, I would like to study here, but try and broaden your search and don't think. And the one mistake, thankfully I never had that problem, but I think I've seen people make this mistake where they think, oh, I'm too good for this college, or I'm too good for this scholarship. There's no such thing, because you need to apply, like, cast your net as wide as you can. Try and get yourself as informed about funding opportunities, about opportunities that you can work with someone, research with a professor in your free time, so you can maybe get paid for that. There's, if you look hard enough, there are usually things like that which are there. So I would suggest, if you want to apply, to keep these things in mind.
That's a good
Yeah.
sort of advice for those who are actually looking to go for LLM or PhDs,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
actually explained them briefly as to how the process goes on. But ma'am, I actually enjoyed this session, and I think now we have a time to wrap up the session. So any
Yeah.
sort of piece of advice for the budding law students or the budding lawyers who are in the initial years of the law school?
I would tell them to read as much as possible. If you have a
This
good
is something
library,
that
make use
everyone
of
tells
that.
us, right? This
Yeah,
is something that
reading
everyone
is
tells us,
very,
but
yeah,
not
reading
everyone
is,
likes reading, right? So
yeah,
any
yeah,
sort of
exactly.
advice?
Yeah. And I used to hate reading. I have the attention span of like a goldfish. It, after 5 minutes, yeah,
Oh
I
my
have
God,
no
I'll
attention.
tell you one thing.
Yeah.
This time I start reading now, I don't know, I get even a message or a call from a home.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, then I
Yeah.
start thinking about that. Oh God.
Yeah. And even if I don't have a distraction, I just get distracted. I'm just,
You just
yeah.
start thinking about
Yeah.
something, right?
And I think I honestly feel you shouldn't torture or push yourself, but I think concentration, like over time, of course, if you want to do that, it's also, you can train yourself to sort of sit for longer periods of time, or you can work on just sort of giving yourself a particular upon, like, set of time to just do one thing. And I think reading is important, but I think the other important thing is also to not compare yourself to other people. I don't know if it's still there, but I think that happened a lot when I was in law school. A lot of the time we were not doing what we wanted, we were just performing according to other people, whether we wanted to one up them, or sort of either do what they were doing but do it better, even if we had no interest in that thing. And I think it's easier said than done, and of course privilege plays a part here. But I think one of the biggest mistakes one can make is sort of constantly looking at other people and holding yourself to the standards that they perform. And it's not even about high or low standards, but sometimes somebody's doing a particular thing and you think, why am I not doing that? Why am I not participating
This
in that? Why?
happens because
Yeah.
like what
But
happens is if you're
yeah.
not good in mood, right? You can
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
ADR
exactly.
activities, right? But still, if your
Yeah.
friend does that, you really want to go for
Yeah.
that. Even if
Yeah.
you're not
And
a good
yeah.
researcher, even if you're not a
Yeah.
good speaker.
Yeah. And I realized one thing again, at least this is just my personal opinion, of course, but I feel that the kind of pressure that law school puts on us, we are way too young to handle that when we enter law school. I mean, we are 18, 19 years old, and we're being treated like adults. We're being told to immediately go and get internships, perform 100%, and come out on top of the class, be the best speaker. And there are
Exactly.
so many. I think it's something else I would tell you. Please, 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 in law school, find yourself a good support system. And if you can't, even if you can't find that in your friends and family, try and,
Ask
I
your
mean,
family.
yeah, and also I speak about mental health very openly. So I think if you have mental health issues, the internet is a very rich place full of affordable therapists. I think that's also something that people should not forget, because it's never too early or too late to get help of that kind. And I think that's something a lot of us could have benefited from in college, because how can you perform and be 100% if it's wrecking your mental health on a long term basis? That's not okay. And I mean, this is not even related to the law, but I think mental health in the legal profession is so ignored, and it's such an important issue in any profession, but also the legal profession, where it's like hustle culture, work as hard as you can, perform all the time.
This
um
happens.
I would suggest that get a support system or try and look for one, because that's really, really important. Law school is 5 years, and that's a long time. So
That's
yeah.
actually a good piece of advice for those who are
Yeah.
actually suffering from something, because COVID
Yeah.
was very something that
Exactly.
nobody actually
Yeah.
predicted about. And
Nope. Nope.
trust me,
No.
it came with so many tragedies, so many
No.
traumas
Yeah.
for
It was
some.
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
like if I have to talk about my college, like we have particular mentorship program where you are
That's
assigned
good.
mentors as a faculty, right? So you talk to
Yeah.
them, but I don't. really vouch for the fact like everyone has that. But yeah,
Yeah,
nowadays you have
exactly. Yeah,
social media, you can interact with so
yeah,
many people, you can talk to them.
yeah,
But still, if
yeah,
you are
yeah,
facing some sort of issues, just try taking some sort of
yeah,
therapies. Just don't
yeah,
harm
exactly.
yourself because of the fact
Exactly.
that
Yeah,
people are
yeah.
not going to accept you because you have some mental health issues, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly. And I think like it's good that especially I think people in your age group, I think it's so wonderful how they're talking more openly about this and like being assertive about their needs. And I think we need to carry that conversation forward because um like I said, I feel the kind of pressures that law school puts on us, it's something that we're just not prepared for. And sometimes it's inhuman to kind of be able to handle it 24/7. So support systems are really, really important. Yeah.
Yes. And I must say that you actually concluded the session on a very positive note. Like so
That's
much of
nice.
positivity and those positive vibes for those who were actually feeling very low. And I
Yeah,
must
yeah.
tell the audience that you're actually very active on social media, be it WhatsApp or LinkedIn. So, like, if they want to talk to you about any issue, they can contact you on LinkedIn. You
Sure,
are
yeah,
actually very
yeah.
active. You can reply to them and you can actually be in touch with them. So, with this, we
Sure,
wrap up the
sure.
session. And I would like
Thank
to
you.
extend my heartfelt gratitude to you, ma'am, for accepting my invitation.
Thank you, Damini. I really
Thank you so
enjoyed
much,
this as
ma'am.
well.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank
Likewise.
you. Yeah.